Hello and welcome back to Kaizen with Luca. Sorry for the delay, and we're gonna open up right now with oh. I was gonna say we're gonna open up with a smackdown fight between the spider and a skeleton, but seems like that one ended pretty abruptly. So today we'll be talking about challenging the status quo, and this is a philosophy that I am practicing right now and one that you're also practicing just by listening to me talk, and by giving into the Kaizen philosophy. This is the exact idea. We are challenging the status quo right now because we're choosing to go against the grain and against what society says that we should do right now in whatever situation we find ourselves in. So this is a great way of thinking. This is, if you are an Apple user, this is a concept that Apple leans on for selling their products, challenging the status quo. When Apple came out with the first iPhone, when they came out with the Mac, think about what they were going up against at that time. You had I think the Motorola Razr. You had all these different phones that were huge. The Nokia, BlackBerry, I think was big at the time. Think about all the challenges in that ecosystem that all of them ran on, right? A lot of this was Android operated phones. I don't exactly remember what operating system was the big one at the time for non-Apple phones, but that was the status quo. Windows on computers, Android on phones. And if you fell into that little community or big community of those users, you were just part of everybody else. There was nothing special about you. There was really nothing special about those phones. So what does Apple do? They come out with the iPhone. They come out with the Mac. They come out with an iPod. And they have this custom ecosystem designed to help you think differently, to help you be a part of something else that wasn't what everybody else was using at that time. So that made you feel real special, and that made their product stand out. And that whole idea is why Apple is leading, or well, I would actually say they're leading. That's why they're leading the industry. They're one of the top performing, and I know that people say that, like, well, how are they challenging the status quo if all they do is just come out with things that that came out years ago that Android has been doing this entire time? Well, you can also flip that around and say that some of the things that Apple has been doing, Android copies. And just because some features came out on Android a few years back, there's a lot more that Apple does from that community standpoint, from that user standpoint, that then gets copied and ripped off. So it's a dog eat dog world out in the tech industry, and it really just comes down to preference. And before you call me an Apple stan, I've been an Android user mine more than I've been an Apple user. So I'll just leave it at that. I've been around Androids far longer than I've been around everything else for Apple. So I'm not even a big. I play on a Windows PC. I'm not even a big Mac OS user. Mostly just because I don't get it. It's a little bit of a learning curve when you're going from Windows to Mac. But and maybe, you know what, maybe that's another point, right? That it's so different and so much better. Maybe if I thought differently or really gave myself into the ecosystem and tried to really learn it, I'd get better. So where does challenging your status quo come from? This is another personal note thing. This is just basically to be different. You go into a role, right? A great example of this is you go into a role, you learn how things were done in that time, and you just inherit what has always been done. You never really challenge anything because when you got into this role, you were taught this is the right way, this is the only way. And this is the conviction that the way things are done is rarely the only way or the best way. So you might be told when you get into that new role that, hey, typically this is what we do, and this is the best way to do it. But sometimes you have to think on the other side of that spectrum and say, well, is this really the best thing that I should be doing? Is this the best way to look at this problem? Or are there other ways that I should be addressing it? So plenty of opportunity for you to leave your mark and change the way that things are done and make things more efficient if that's what you want to do. So what does this actually mean? And your own status quo can be challenged. I think that most people inherit their operating system, which I'm going to phrase this as how they work, how they think about their growth, how they measure their success. That is all stemming from the environment that you grew up in. The environment that you grew up in shaped a lot of your thinking and how you act more than you probably dare to admit. And think about that for a second. Think about the environment that you grew up in, what your family life was like. Was it? I grew up in a divorced home, right? That definitely means that you have to mature a little bit faster. Maybe you think a little bit differently. You definitely get 2 Christmases, which, if you want to think positively, that's a bonus. And just think about how that has shaped you, and connect that into your personal operating system. How do you perceive failure? Do you perceive failure as something that you burden yourself with? That, my mom is going to be so upset that I got a B on my test. Or maybe do you use them as learning opportunities to go further and say, okay, well, maybe the amount of time I spent wasn't enough, or maybe I didn't think I knew about this subject more than I had anticipated. So there's plenty of learning opportunities from failure. This is kind of where we have to go and use the Kaizen method of going through and digging a little bit deeper into how you actually think and how you feel in certain approaches to things. So just to sum off that personal operating system, you run that inherited system through your entire life. That's just baseline for you. And you never ask whether that system is actually yours. Is that a system you built, or is that a system that was passed down to you? And I mean, you can get as deep as you want, but that's what this whole thing is about. That's what self-discovery is all about. You are challenging your personal status quo by taking a deeper look into yourself and building something that is meaningful to you. So, and just to close out the sentence here that I have for my notes, challenging the status quo does not mean being a contrarian. It means asking, is this true, or is this just what we all agreed to accept? So think about that. Is this true, or is this something we just all agreed to accept? I chose to accept a different route for myself when I did my own Kaizen journey. And I'm choosing different paths now as I go through the program that I've been developing for everybody to take part in. So think about that. Next, I'll do a little homework for you, since we love doing some homework. And this is how we can apply challenging the status quo today. Here's your one thing that you can do today. Pick one assumption that you have been operating under. This could be about your career, about your habits. This could be about your relationships, the way that you use time. And think about whether you inherited So for one of those operating systems that you inherited rather than chose, and ask if I were to design this from scratch, would I build it this way, and what would I change? So this is your time to take ownership of that operating system, that one specific thing, and start small, right? Kaizen is all about big or small wins, not about big wins. We're all about doing small, feel good wins. So that'll be your homework. Pick one of those things and think, if you were to design this on your own, what would it look like? What would you change? So I hope this was helpful, and I also have been. It's been a crazy week this week, so I apologize for missing, I believe, the last 2 days, but we showed up today. We still are chugging along on our journey here, and I hope you guys think about this concept, because it's a powerful one. We often give too much to how society thinks that we should be, and not any thought into how we think we should be. And this is your time to fully think about something like that. So I will stop this video here so that you guys don't have to see this battle that I'm going to go through to clear out this cave system. But I'll see you all tomorrow, and let me know down in the comments below some of the things that you're facing and how you are challenging the status quo. So thank you all for being here today, and I'll catch you all in the next one.